Hey guys, Steve here. I want to just bring a little reflection that I've just benefited from this morning in my morning devotions. And it comes to this idea of casting our cares upon the Lord and knowing that He will sustain us. A great promise from Psalm 55:22. Cast all your cares on the Lord and He will sustain you. I wonder if you've had the feeling, maybe you've had it quite recently, that you just want to escape. You just want out. You want the easy option. The mental stress, the emotional stress, the practical stress, the spiritual stress, the relational stress, the financial stress, the stress in your family, in your kids, in circumstances. Just there's lots of stress, lots of pressures, whether through COVID-19 or just generally. And you just think, I just want out. The worst and most tragic form of that, obviously, is suicide, where people cannot face the day that they decide to take their own lives. And that's sad and tragic. But we all have versions of that, where we just go, I would love to just be able to fly away like a bird. Well, Psalm 55 says that. David says, I'd like to fly away like a bird. Listen to this. Fear and trembling have beset me. Horror has overwhelmed me. Verse 6, oh, that I had the wings of a dove. I would fly away and be at rest. I would flee far away and stay in the desert. I would hurry to my place of shelter, far from the tempest and storm. David talks in verse 2 of having troubles in his thoughts, of having anguish in his heart, verse 4. And he talks about the terrors and the fear and the trembling assail him, beset him, overwhelm him. These are strong. This is sort of a constant threat that he feels, a constant weightiness, a heaviness, a loneliness, a sadness, a hurt, a pressure. This isn't a fleeting thing, assail, beset, and overwhelmed. So how do we pray? Well, at the end of the psalm, by the time he's wrestled with God and wrestled with his thoughts, he realizes he must cast all his cares on the Lord and He will sustain him. I just, in the mornings and evening, I read this lovely little devotional by Charles Spurgeon a century and a half ago, a Baptist preacher in London. And he did a little devotion every morning and every evening. And he had one on Psalm 55:22. And he says this, when we have anxiety, anxious care, it shows us three things. First of all, it reveals that we think we can do a better job than God. So we think, when our anxiety shows us that we think we can do a better job than God, we can solve it. We're wiser than Him, and we will take care of the situation and ourselves when actually He will take care of the situation and ourselves. So that's the first thing anxious care tells us. It reveals we think we're wiser than God. Secondly, it often leads to acts of sin, because what happens is then you go to the wrong means to get to the end that you want, and choosing the wrong means is never God's way. So anxious care reveals that we think we're wiser than God, often leads us to acts of sin as we choose the wrong means. And then it starts to make us doubt God's kindness and goodness. Our heart grows cold, our prayer life dwindles, because we're not sure He does care. Our anxious care it shows all those three things rather than trusting Him. And so the psalmist at the end, David says, I need to cast all my cares on God and He will sustain you. So today, whatever your fear, whatever your desire to escape, God often wants us to remain in the place we are, just to be godly, to be patient, to be faithful, to stay, not to run away, to stay responsible for the things we're responsible for. That is how we love God. That is how we love our neighbor, not by running away, but by just being present and keeping going, doing the right thing, being godly, being loving, being kind, and being patient. So cast all your cares on the Lord today, and He will sustain you. What is that fear? What is that great fear you have? Cast it to Him. And let Him take care of you and that situation. The alternative, this anxious care, that you take care of it, is not good. So today, heed the advice and the promise and the encouragement of Psalm 55, verse 22. Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. Isaiah 26:3 says this, you will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is steadfast, because he trusts in you. There is perfect peace in God. If your mind is steadfast, trust in the Lord. So cast all your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. Okay? God bless.